Now on Voices, fight for freedom. Their homeland devastated by a presidential assassination, natural disasters, gang violence, and poverty. Haitians by the hundreds continue showing up in South Florida hoping for a shot at the American dream. But instead of being welcomed, most get sent back. Well, it's been an ongoing struggle for the last 50 years. Now the Biden administration is offering a new path that could create a path towards citizenship at a critical time in the Caribbean nation's history.
On my first day in office, some of you may recall.
And just what is happening in Haiti that has so many willing to risk their lives to escape by climbing into a boat that barely floats to sail hundreds of miles on the hope they will reach land in the U.S. We get an idea from award-winning journalist Jackie Charles. Good morning and welcome to NBC6 Voices. I'm Jawan Strader. Well, Haiti is marking some heartbreaking milestones this month. 13 years ago, a powerful earthquake took the lives of hundreds of thousands of people and devastated the Caribbean country's already fragile infrastructure. It was also 50 years ago when the first boatload of Haitians arrived in South Florida, having fled oppression and violence that ravaged their homeland. Well, decades later, not much has changed. Migrants are still fleeing dangerous conditions, and the U.S. still does not have a real plan to deal with it. Joining me now to talk more about the issues involving Haiti and the ongoing mass migration are Tamara Rodriguez, owner of Island Television, and immigration attorney for Catholic Legal Services, Vanessa Joseph. Welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Okay, before we get to the legal ends of things, Tamara, let's start with you. Let's talk a little bit about the history here. 50 years since the first boatload of Haitians arrived in South Florida. So give us a history lesson about the major event.
So thanks for having us today. It's important. We're excited to be here to talk about the community. So December 12, 1972 was the first boatload of that brought Haitian migrants to South Florida. And so ever since then, the community has been leading a series of events to commemorate the anniversary. The anniversary really of these migrants that, like you mentioned, left Haiti in a situation of despair. And they arrived here, and we know that once they arrived here, over the last 50 years, they've created huge impact in the South Florida community.
So if you look at recent events, many may think not much has changed in 50 years. Haitians are still arriving here in South Florida and at the South Water. So what's the experience for Haitians who arrive here?
Yeah, the experience is difficult, like most migrants that come, right? And there's always the language barrier. There is understanding the culture, a very new culture. But I think, fortunately, South Florida, we have resources. We have lots of organizations that Vanessa and I work with that help these migrants when they come in to start their new life in the United States.
Okay, so Vanessa, let's get you in on the conversation. One thing that has changed is the president's new parole asylum seekers plan. So it requires in part proper application for asylum and sponsorship. So could this be a true pathway to citizenship, or is it too little too late?
So first, I think we have to distinguish between asylum and, of course, what this is, which is a humanitarian parole program, which is just an opportunity, right, to stay here in the United States with some kind of documentation. But it's not necessarily the application for asylum, which is essentially saying, I am afraid to return to my home country because I believe I'll be persecuted, or I have been persecuted and I cannot return, and please authorize me to stay. And at that point, you fill out an application, get an adjudication, maybe you'll see a judge, depending on how you entered the country. So this humanitarian program allows you to basically have a supporter here apply and say that you, as the beneficiary, they'll support you if you are able to come and stay here for 2 years on parole. I think for a lot of people, there is rejoicing in this opportunity, this new announcement that look, we're providing a pathway for you to come here, but that won't be the pathway to citizenship, you know, that won't be the pathway to actual permanent residency. So is it too little, too late? I'm not sure, but it is definitely too little for what we need in terms of comprehensive immigration reform. As it relates to the Haitian people, I think they absolutely deserve to have opportunities to make asylum claims, to be able to demonstrate that if they are afraid to return to their home country, they can have refuge here.
So who can be a sponsor?
So who can be a sponsor? Pretty much anybody who is here in the United States with status, all right? So you can't have a pending application for something and not have any actual status. You need to have maybe TPS, you could have parole, you can have U.S. citizenship, you can be a U.S. resident. And you have to be able to support that person. There is no obligation that it is only one supporter. You can have a group of people who are saying, look, we'll all come together to support this one beneficiary. As long as you're here in the United States and can afford to provide resources that this person may need while they're here, you can be a supporter. Of course, there's more to it, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
it's not law school.
Exactly. You got that right. So, Tamara, the Haitian people who now call the U.S. home, no matter how they got here, have been major contributors to the culture and the nation's bottom line. And this despite what many perceive as unfair treatment when it comes to immigration matters, namely in comparison to the way Cuban migrants are treated. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the series of events have led to an inflection point for their community. And what you're seeing now is the mobilization of Americans of Haitian descent. And the mobilization in order to make sure we have a voice, in order to make sure that we gain political power. And so we are creating initiatives such as the Haiti Diaspora Collaborative, ADC, where we have 12 Haitian-led organizations from the United States and from Haiti that are creating a national survey to understand the needs of our community and to understand and to gather data. And with that data, we will strengthen our community and we will use this data to gain political power. And what political power means is having a voice and influencing policies vis-a-vis Haiti and the United States.
And Vanessa, I kind of know this already, but for a lot of those people, I mean, it's a basic question. As an immigration attorney, break this down for us. Why is it that the policy to treat all migrants equally, no matter where they came from, exists? Because it doesn't. It's totally different for I guess, depending upon where you come from. Yeah,
depending on where you come from, and that's a question that we always get asked, right? What is the difference?
Yeah.
And I think the difference is often pretty clear. We don't have to mince words. We don't have to pretend that we don't see it. It's visible why there's disparate treatment between different groups of people. I think what is extremely important is that we continue to push for an immigration system that allows for the equal treatment or equitable treatment of people regardless of where they come from. People should absolutely all have the opportunity to seek shelter and security and safety for their families if they cannot remain at home. I mean, when you look at the conditions that people are fleeing, regardless of where they come from, I mean, who can argue that Haiti's not necessarily a war zone right now? Right? But when we look at other countries who also have, it may be a different context, right? But still, people are fleeing. They are afraid for their lives. Should they not too have the opportunity to seek refuge in our great country?
Hey, man, we're looking at some video right now. If unless you've been under a book lately, I haven't seen what's going on in Haiti. I mean, this is just some of the video coming out of Haiti that we've seen for years now, not just months, but for years. And so, Tamara, 13 years ago, an earthquake devastated Haiti. 11 years later, another struck. So what can be done to build the infrastructure in Haiti?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think part of it is engaging the community, right? And to Vanessa's point, unless you're under a rock, you know what Haiti's been going through. It's always in the headlines. But I strongly believe in the progress that we've made also as a community. And I believe that the Americans in the United States of Haitian descent are at this point right now where we want to be a part of the conversation, where we influence what's happening in Haiti. So I can't go down there and build the infrastructure, but what I can do here is to work with my fellow Americans of Haitian descent to have that influence, to understand how we can help, and most importantly, to listen to what the people in Haiti are asking for, because I think that's a mistake we make often, where we're here, so we say we know what they need. We've got bridges here, we've got institutions here, so we know what they need. And I think that we need to listen to what they're saying, and then we here can work with them, work with the policy makers, the legislature, and the elected officials to bring change in Haiti.
Okay, so to both of you, there's been a presidential assassination. There's gang violence. We've heard of rapes. We've heard of everything that's happening there. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to come here, to risk your life to come to the U.S.?
I mean, would it be worth it to you if your family was in the same situation is the question we really have to ask ourselves. I can't make a determination for somebody else as to whether it was worth the cost. I can only say that if I was in that situation, here's what I would do. But I also think that we need to also see individuals who are arriving here as opportunities, right? These are opportunities to allow for an increased labor force, that we can help people ensure that they're providing for their families, that they're continuing to contribute to our communities in the ways that we know folks have been doing every time that they've come here. This is an opportunity for us to fill some of those vacancies that we see across not only Miami-Dade County, but across South Florida and throughout Florida. I think that this is an opportunity for us to really start to see the value that people possess, instead of just looking at it as, well, they're all coming here, what are we supposed to do? I think we know what we are supposed to do. I think we know what we can do. And when we start to really meaningfully integrate people into our communities, we have much better and stronger communities. It's not by accident that when we were first arriving here 50 years ago, we had African Americans, the Jewish community, the Catholic community came together to support Haitians. Imagine how much great we can do when we just all come together to figure it out. And I think we can do that, and I think we should do that. And instead of seeing, oh my God, there's an influx of folks coming from different countries, what do? We help them.
Yeah, and I think nobody wants to make the treacherous path to come here, whether it's by boat or across the borders. It's desperation, and like as Vanessa said, they don't come here just to sit here. They want to work. They want to support their families. They want to contribute to the community, and so I think that is something that folks need to understand too.
Thank you both for being here. Tamara, Vanessa, thank you for your insight. There's so much more we can discuss, but of course we're running out of time. I appreciate you both.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Thank you.
You got it. And when Voices continues, award-winning Miami Herald correspondent Jackie Charles takes us inside Haiti and her investigation into the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. Well, it's been a year and a half since Haitian President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated in his home. Arrests have been made in the case, but no one has gone to trial for the murder. Not to mention, the country still has yet to choose a successor. Now comes a fresh perspective on the chain of events and the cast of characters who may have had a hand in the killing of the world leader. And no one has been covering this story now more than the person next to me. She's a Pulitzer Prize finalist, Emmy Award winner, and Miami Herald journalist Jacqueline Charles. Thank you so much, Jackie, for joining me on Voices this morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, I am just, first off, before we begin, I have to say, you're an incredible journalist. Your excellence shows in your work and what you've covered. I think you've won practically, you heard just a list of a few awards that she's won, but she is known for being an excellent journalist, and you've covered Haiti now for more than a decade. And what we're about to dive into is the whodunit, made in Miami. So what did you uncover in your reportings?
Well, you know, in this reporting, Made in Miami, which is essentially taking a look at the plot to oust Haitian President Jovenel Moïse, which started here, or at least partly was rooted in South Florida, and then eventually it led to his murder. We're still trying to figure out all of the pieces together, but what we, discover is, first of all, that there are a number of individuals, at least 3 of them, Haitian Americans with ties to South Florida, who are currently in jail in Port-au-Prince. There were meetings here, but these meetings were about, one particular person, Mr. Sano, who's a physician, a pastor, Christian Sano, who wanted to replace Jovenel as president. Now, I actually interviewed him in jail in Haiti a couple of months ago, and he denies that, that he wanted to replace Jovenel, but all of the evidence is there that at least there were meetings about saving Haiti. But somehow, this idea of saving Haiti and replacing Jovenel Moïse, who at the time of his death was controversial, there were a lot of anti-government protesting. He was accused of trying to be Latin American and the Caribbean's next dictator. So you have to remember the period in which this took place. And then, yes, somehow it evolved into an assassination in the middle of the night with the president calling for help in those last few minutes. I broke that story, just giving you sort of a tick-tock. At 1:42, he called the police chief. Then a few minutes later, he called him again. He called the head of his security. He called the person in charge of his security coordinator.
Saying that his life is in danger.
Yes, come help me.
Come help me.
Yes.
And you broke this down at the very beginning on how you start the Made in Miami series. Folks, you just saw a little glimpse of that with the animation. And you then go on after you go through the assassination process. You started off by saying, there is a saying, in the heart of every Haitian, there is a sleeping president, end quote. Why did you start off like that?
I started off like this because I have been covering Haiti for more than a decade, probably more than 2 decades. But, when you talk to Haitians and you're in Haiti, that's what you see. Like, everybody wants to be the president of this country. The house is literally collapsing and everybody's trying to run in rather than to run out of it. And so that was the thing that kept coming up, where we saw that there were people who wanted to take charge of this country. And in the murder of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse, somebody wanted to be president, or they wanted this. I mean, one of the stories that we did was how the Colombians who were accused in the assassination, they had spent a month in Haiti. They were supposed to be paid up to $3,000. They never got paid. And then in the final hours, right before the assassination, they're told the plan has changed. It's no longer to arrest the president, but it is to assassinate him. And by the way, there's $45 million or so inside the president's house. Now, we don't know if there was actually this money. No one's been able to confirm. What we have on testimony is that people said there were suitcases of cash that was taken out. But in the head of these guys, there was $45 million. So this turned into a money heist, and they went in.
And then they took pictures. They sent the pictures somewhere, basically to confirm that he was dead.
Yes.
And sent those pictures somewhere. This is based on your reporting, and I found it fascinating. I mean, just a horrible tragedy, a horrible death, by the way. 12 wounds. Yeah. He was shot almost from head to toe. Pretty disturbing. His eye gouged out and everything else. And they're taking pictures to send as proof.
And I have to tell you, when you read the Haitian police investigative report, and they did a very good job in terms of just the questioning of the suspects, what you find is the suspect says, hey, yes, I was at the president's house, I was on a compound, but we didn't kill him. We didn't pull the trigger. So you have no one admitting that they actually did it. You have where we know that they went out in teams, according to the police, and there were Delta teams, and then there was another team that came later on. The 2 Haitian Americans that have been implicated in there, who were acting as translators, so they say, but they were also, one of them was on a bullhorn. This is a DEA operation. Right. They said that they never actually went inside the house. One of the suspects, who's currently in jail here in federal custody in Miami, Mario Antonio Palacios, who's Colombian, he says, yes, I was part of the Delta team. I was told on the 6th of June that the plan had changed to assassinate the president, but I wasn't in the room. So there's still a lot to unravel in terms of who's telling the truth and what actually happened on July 7th.
Well, okay, so South Florida recently marked 50 years since the first documented boat of Haitian refugees arrived here in South Florida. You wrote about it, so what's the last half century been like since then?
You know, part of this package also was the history of Haiti, right? To tell you that the last presidential assassination happened a century prior to this. And this is a country, it is the first black republic, but it's been difficult. And democracy has been a very difficult exercise, basically 36 plus years. And of that, we had the first Haitian boat in 1972. This is a community, though, that has achieved so many firsts. You know, the first Haitian American ever elected to public office in modern, history in the United States. Philippe de Rose. Then he became the mayor of the village of El Portal. And then the next year in 2001, we have Joe Celestin, who becomes the mayor of the first sizable city in the United States, which is North Miami, which today has a majority, Haitian city council. And then we've got Jawan Strader, who becomes the first Haitian American. And then we just put Marlene Bastien on as the second Haitian American, but the first female Haitian American.
Right.
So, and this was a community of quote unquote boat people. You know, these were not the elites. These were not the people who got on the planes and left Haiti during a dictatorship and went to New York, which basically that migration started in the 60s and 70s. But what I learned from this story, and by tracking down one of the original people on that boat, is that this community was given birth by the African American community, black pastors who received them, along with the Archdiocese of Miami. And then you had Haitians from New York who came in and says, you know what, those Haitians in Miami, they need our help. Because what people don't realize, the whole U.S. immigration policy of detaining immigrants when they arrive in this country, whether they're Haitians or from elsewhere, it started with the Haitian migration. 1973, the third boat arrives, and they thought they were going to be set free, and that didn't happen. They were detained in a jail in Florida, and then they were sent to Texas, and they were in detention for 9 months. And it was through the activism of lawyers like Ira Kurzban and people like Steve Forrester, who is still around, who's still fighting for, for Haitian rights, that you are able to see what's happening here today. So this 50 years isn't just an anniversary, but it really is a story of a community and how this community is still faced, unfortunately, with some of the same challenges. Both people are still coming for all intents and purposes. Haitians are still being deported, still being detained, despite the fact that Haiti today is the place that is overwritten by gangs and kidnappings. We've got a cholera epidemic. Come the second Monday in January, the 10 senators that are there, the last of the institutions will be gone. There will not be one elected official in this country of 12 million people.
Jackie, I appreciate you telling these stories. You know your stuff, girl. You know your stuff. So I appreciate you doing and continue to do so because we need to hear the voices from our Haitian brothers and sisters in our community. We need to make sure we continue to get out those stories, and that's what you are doing. So don't stop doing it.
Well, thank you. And, look, Haiti sneezes, Miami catches a cold. That's what we've always said. These communities are interconnected. People do not want to leave their country. They want to be able to live there. And, people look to me, they look to my reporting to continue to have some hope. It's very difficult in these circumstances. Right. But you have to hope because everybody can't get on a plane or on a boat to risk their lives to try to leave.
Amen. Jacqueline Charles, thank you so much, as always. You're always welcome here. All right?
Well, thank you. And thank you for being interested in this story. And yes, made in Miami, MiamiHerald.com/Haiti. We have our own channel. It takes about 20 minutes, but it's worth it.
It is worth it. You have to check it out. I am totally impressed. I'm like engulfed in it right now. So definitely stay tuned to that. Jacqueline Charles, thank you.
Thank you.
You got it. Well, tomorrow, January 15th, would have been Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 94th birthday. The third Monday in January is the federal holiday designated to commemorate his life's work of fighting for civil rights for all. And that is it for our show today. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also message us on social media if you have a story idea. And before we go, remember, education is the key to success. If you believe, you will succeed. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.